You must fundamentally reprogram your understanding of communication dynamics to realize that the person who controls the tempo of the interaction is the person who holds the power, while the person waiting for the signal is the subordinate element in the hierarchy. Society has conditioned you to behave like a Pavlovian dog, salivating and hitting the reply button the microsecond a notification appears on your screen, believing that efficiency is a virtue, when in reality this frantic reactivity signals to the market that your time is abundant, your schedule is empty, and your desperate need for validation overrides your sovereign dignity. When you respond instantly, you are telling the client, "I was sitting here waiting for you," which instantly devalues your stock. However, when you deliberately engineer a chaotic void of silence between their inquiry and your response, you are leveraging the anxiety gap, a psychological kill zone where the human brain, deprived of feedback, begins to cannibalize its own confidence. You must understand that the human mind abhors uncertainty more than it abhors pain. When you do not answer, the client's amygdala activates, flooding their system with cortisol and forcing them to run simulations of why you are silent. Are you offended? Are you talking to a bigger competitor? Are you too busy with high-level operations to notice their trivial request? In this vacuum, they do not see you as you are. They hallucinate a version of you that is busier, richer, and more dangerous than reality, effectively doing your marketing for you inside their own skulls. This is the projection of grandeur. By the time you finally deign to reply, the relief they feel is so overwhelming that it mimics the chemical signature of falling in love. And in that moment of biochemical vulnerability, they are willing to pay any price just to secure the connection and end the pain of the wait. You are not charging them for the work, you are charging them for the relief. The mechanics of the price hike via delay operate on the principle of sunk emotional cost. If you answer immediately and quote a high price, they analyze the number logically and reject it. But if you make them wait 3 days, they have invested 72 hours of emotional energy thinking about you, checking their inbox, and worrying about the deal. They have already bought the idea of working with you in their mind. When the price finally arrives, and it is double what they expected, they cannot walk away, because to do so would be to admit that they wasted 3 days stressing over nothing. You have successfully trapped them in a loop where their own anxiety has acted as a deposit on the transaction. You must act as a time vampire who feeds on their urgency. The more urgent they are, the slower you become. If they say, "We need this by Friday," you do not reply until Thursday afternoon. This terrifies them. It breaks their frame. It forces them to confront the reality that their deadlines are not your deadlines, and that your participation is not a commodity they can order like a pizza, but a privilege they must petition for. In this state of terror, price becomes irrelevant. A drowning man does not negotiate the price of air. He pays everything he has. Your silence is the water rising. You must cultivate the art of the tactical ghost. This is not about being lazy. It is about being surgically unavailable. When a lowball offer comes in, you do not counteroffer. You do not argue. You do not explain your value. You simply vanish. You let the silence do the heavy lifting. A counteroffer validates their starting position. Silence rejects their entire existence. It tells them, "Your offer was so insulting, it does not even merit the caloric expenditure of a no." This forces them to bid against themselves. They will send a follow-up email. "Did you get this?" Silence. Another follow-up. "We can move on the budget." Silence. "Okay, we can do full price. Now you speak." You have effectively negotiated a 30% raise without typing a single word. This is zero-touch negotiation. You are training them like a strict parent trains a child. Bad behavior, low prices, unreasonable demands, gets the void. Good behavior, compliance, deposits, gets the reward of your attention. You are rewiring their dopamine pathways to associate paying you more with getting your attention. The limit of tolerance for waiting is directly proportional to your perceived authority. A waiter cannot make you wait. A heart surgeon can make you wait 6 months. Therefore, by making them wait, you are biologically signaling that you are the surgeon, not the waiter. You are hacking the social hierarchy. Even if you are broke, even if you are desperate, you must never break character. You must simulate the schedule of an emperor. An emperor does not check his phone. An emperor has filters, gatekeepers, and protocols. When you finally respond, you never apologize for the delay. Apologizing reestablishes their frame. You say, "I have reviewed your request," implying that the delay was due to a rigorous internal process of selection, not negligence. You frame the delay as due diligence, making them feel that they have passed a test, which makes them value the acceptance even more. You are selling exclusivity. Exclusivity requires exclusion. Exclusion requires time. The wait is the product. The price tag is just the admission fee to the reality you control. Shutterstock. The second phase of manipulating expectation requires you to master the engineering of mimetic desire, where you systematically manufacture the presence of a phantom competitor to trigger the primal biological fear of resource scarcity in the skull of your target. You must understand that human beings are not rational actors who evaluate value based on objective metrics. They are mimetic creatures who desire things solely because they believe other people desire them. If you present yourself as a resource that is sitting on a shelf waiting to be picked up, you are functionally invisible. But the moment you introduce the shadow of a rival, even a hypothetical one, you instantly transmute from a commodity into a prize. This is the geometry of triangulation. You are the object, the client is the subject, and the phantom competitor is the model that validates your worth. You do not need to lie. You simply need to weaponize the ambiguity of your schedule. When a client asks for your availability, you never say, "I am free next week." That is the language of the unemployed. You say, "I'm currently finalizing the production schedule for Q3 with existing retainers, so I need to check if I can carve out a slot for a new project." You have just introduced the phantom competitor, the existing retainers. These invisible entities are now sitting at the negotiation table with you, silently outbidding the new client for your time. The new client now realizes that they are not buying a service. They are fighting for territory against an entrenched enemy. This triggers competitive arousal, a state of high dopaminergic activation where winning the deal becomes more important than the cost of the deal. You must learn to speak the language of constraint. A constraint is not a refusal. It is a signal of high demand. You say, "I have a tentative hold on those dates from another party, but they haven't signed the deposit yet. I can give you a 24-hour window to secure the block before I release it back to them." This is the takeaway close. You are offering them the resource while simultaneously threatening to snatch it away. The other party might be a real client, or it might just be your own desire to sleep and play video games, which is a valid competitor for your time. But the client does not know that. They only know that the door is closing. The phantom competitor forces them to bypass their logical brain, which wants to negotiate price, and engage their lizard brain, which wants to secure the asset before the rival gets it. You are simulating a bank run on your own talent. You must build a calendar defense system that reflects the reality of a sovereign architect. Your calendar is not a bucket to be filled. It is a fortress to be guarded. When you are in a negotiation, you must casually reference the queue. You say, "If we don't sign by Friday, the next available production window pushes to October because of the intake cycle." You are not pushing them. You are simply informing them of the physics of your world. This creates temporal scarcity. They realize that your time is a moving train, and if they don't jump on now, they will be left on the platform. The phantom competitor is also useful for price anchoring. You casually mention, "The last project of this scope ran into the mid-six figures because of the complexity," implying that there are others who have already paid this price. You are normalizing the trauma of the high ticket by showing them that others have survived it. This relies on social proof, but aggressive social proof. You are not showing testimonials. You are showing scars of battle. You must become comfortable with the soft rejection. You tell them, "I'm not sure if I'm the right fit for this. I usually only take on projects where I have total creative control." Now they have to sell you on why they are worthy of your time. You have inverted the interview. You are the prize. They are the applicant. The phantom competitor dictates that you are selective because you can afford to be. If you were desperate, you would take anyone. Since you are hesitant, you must be rich. This inference is automatic in their brain. You use the silence we discussed in part 1 to let the phantom competitor grow in their imagination. If you don't reply for 4 hours, they assume you are with the other client. The phantom competitor is doing the work while you nap. The ultimate manifestation of this is the wait list. Even if you have 0 clients, you should act as if you have a wait list. "I'm currently at capacity, but I can add you to the intake list for next month." This does 2 things. It guarantees they will wait, because we value what we wait for, and it allows you to charge a rush fee if they want to skip the line. You have created a premium tier out of thin air simply by pretending to be unavailable. The rush fee is the tax on their impatience. It is the cost of killing the phantom competitor. You must realize that people do not buy solutions. They buy access to power. Power is defined by who has it and who wants it. By projecting that others want you, you become a node of power. The phantom competitor is your greatest ally. He is the invisible man who drives up your price, fills your calendar, and forces the client to beg for the privilege of paying you. Never let him die. Keep him in the room. Keep him in the emails. Keep him in the silence. The final phase of manipulating expectation is the deployment of the nuclear option known as the walkaway, which is the absolute refusal to negotiate based on the understanding that the person who cares less about the deal is the person who controls the reality of the deal. You must internalize the paradox that to possess the asset, you must be willing to burn the asset, because in the physics of power, need is a gravitational force pulls you down into a subordinate position, whereas indifference is an anti-gravity engine that elevates you above the desperation of the market. You must train your nervous system to view every potential contract not as a lifeline, but as a distraction from your magnum opus, meaning that when you sit at the table, you're not hoping for a yes, you're actively looking for a reason to say no. This shift in polarity is palpable to the biological sensors of the opponent. They can smell the lack of fear on you, and it terrifies them because it signals that you have sources of sustenance that they cannot see. The walkaway nuke is not a bluff. It is a tactical withdrawal, triggers the most powerful psychological mechanism in the human brain, loss aversion. The moment you say, I don't think this is a good fit for us right now, let's revisit this next year, you have detonated a bomb in their amygdala. They were mentally preparing to fight you on price, but suddenly the object of their desire, you, has vanished. The brain equates loss with pain, specifically twice as much pain as the pleasure of gain, so their immediate reaction is not relief but panic. They will scramble to keep the deal alive, not because they need it, but because they cannot bear the ego death of being rejected by the prize. You have inverted the chase. You are no longer the vendor trying to close. You are the celebrity trying to leave the club, and they are the bouncer trying to let you in. You must master the rescission of the offer. The amateur leaves an offer on the table indefinitely, hoping the client will pick it up. The sovereign architect sets a kill switch. You say, this proposal is valid for 48 hours. After that, the resources are reallocated to the active production queue. When the 49th hour strikes and they haven't signed, you send an email. Since I didn't hear back, I've released the dates to the wait list. Best of luck. This is the nuke. You have killed the deal. Now, one of two things happens. Either they were never serious, in which case you saved yourself months of wasted time, or they panic and come back begging. If they come back, the dynamic has fundamentally changed. They are no longer negotiating, they are pleading, and when they plead, the price goes up. You say, I can try to squeeze you back in, but the rush fee now applies because I have to move other pieces. You have effectively taxed them for their hesitation. You turn their silence into your profit. The walkaway requires you to kill the scarcity mindset that whispers, what if this is the last deal? That voice is a liar. That voice is the poverty gene trying to keep you safe and small. The truth is that the world is awash in capital looking for a home, and high-value competence is the rarest commodity on earth. When you walk away from a bad deal, you create a vacuum that draws in a better deal. You are signaling to the universe that your standards are absolute. You must be willing to stand in the silence of the void. You must be willing to let the phone not ring. You must be willing to eat rice and beans rather than eat the shit of a disrespectful client. This is strategic starvation. You starve the parasite so you can feast with the kings. The ultimate manifestation of the walkaway is the anti-pitch. Instead of selling yourself, you spend the meeting disqualifying them. You ask, why do you think you're ready for this level of aggression? Most clients can't handle the protocol. You are challenging their fitness to work with you. This triggers qualification desire. They start trying to prove they are good enough, smart enough, and rich enough to hire you. You have successfully gamified the interaction where winning equals paying you. You are the prize to be won. And sometimes you just stand up, shake their hand and say, I don't think we're aligned. And you walk out. The walk to the door is the longest distance in the world for them. They will call you before you reach the elevator. And if they don't, you keep walking. Because a sovereign architect never looks back at a burning bridge. He looks forward at the empire he is building on the other side. The deal is dead. Long live the standard.